Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our program today. We're so excited to be here with you. We are going to go ahead and get started so we have plenty of time for the program. My name is Ellie Darrow. I am the Nutrition Program Coordinator for Blood Cancer United's Nutrition Education Services Center, which is also referred to as NESC. We hope that you enjoy the webinar that we've planned, and I'm so proud to introduce Unite to Nourish, learning about CLL nutrition. Throughout the presentation, you will see web pages and resources for you to explore. Wherever you see an arrow icon in the PowerPoint, that indicates some suggested reading or research that you can do afterwards. The full presentation will be available on bloodcancerunited.org and bloodcancerunitednutrition.org in the coming days. The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society is now Blood Cancer United. You may still see links, pages, or emails referencing our previous name. Please know that we are still the same organization with the same mission. Thank you for your continued support during this exciting transition. Here's a quick look at our agenda for today's presentation. We have disabled the chat for today's program, but there will be a Q&A session at the end. So please go ahead and submit any questions for us using the Q&A feature on the bottom of the screen. As I mentioned earlier, the NESC is your hub for all things nutrition. We proudly offer free nutrition consultations with our dietitians over the phone for patients with any cancer type. We also provide a wide range of free print, video, and audio materials on our website, bloodcancerunitednutrition.org. I'll share more details about these offerings at the end of today's program. At this time, I'd like to introduce Beth Davison from the Clinical Trial Support Center. Beth is an advanced practice registered nurse who has been a clinical trial nurse navigator with Blood Cancer United for 8 years. She earned her MSN degree from Frontier Nursing University in 2015, completed a postmaster's degree in precision medicine at the University of Florida in 2021, and became a fellow in the American Academy of Case Management in 2023. More recently, she became a certified grief-informed professional. As nurse navigators, Beth and her peers help patients weigh their unique concerns when deciding whether or not to participate in a clinical trial.
Thank you, Ellie. Today, I'm going to share a brief overview of the Clinical Trial Support Center. Blood Cancer United is committed to providing resources to help patients access clinical trials. The Clinical Trial Support Center was developed when it was recognized that more patients and caregivers were calling the Information Resource Center to inquire about clinical trials. The department started as one part-time nurse and has now evolved into the current team of 13 full-time nurse navigators and an operations specialist. We are a team of highly trained nurses and advanced practice nurses with extensive experience in hematological malignancies and clinical research. We serve as a bridge between technology and patients to make accessing clinical trial information easier. We provide education to patients and caregivers about clinical trials, treatment options, and other disease-specific information. We provide a professional, detailed, individualized search to the patient to be discussed with their treatment team. We provide guidance and serve as advocates throughout the clinical trial process and make connections between the patient and the trial site to facilitate enrollment as appropriate. We provide a personal connection and develop long-term relationships to help better serve our patients. Next slide. When the nurse navigator first reaches out to the patient or caregiver, the conversation can take between 30 minutes to an hour, depending on questions. We get to know the patient and the reasons for seeking treatment with the trial and assess for barriers to enrollment. We discuss things that may impact eligibility for certain trials, like prior treatments and responses, current physical condition, and past medical history. We discuss other important topics for the patient, like willingness to travel or the ability to travel, and if the patient is looking for a particular modality or type of treatment. During this first conversation, we provide lots of education to help patients and caregivers understand what clinical trials are, the phases of trials, the clinical trial process, including the rights and obligations as a participant, participation requirements, and pros and cons of a trial. After conducting the search, a list is provided to the patient to share and to discuss with their healthcare team. The nurse navigator can assist in connecting with trial sites and addressing barriers to enrollment so the patient has the best opportunity to enrolling on a trial. It is important to note that the goal of the Clinical Trial Support Center is not to enroll every patient into a trial, but rather to increase the opportunities for participation by facilitating informed decision-making and minimizing logistical barriers for the patient. We work in collaboration with the patient's healthcare team so the patient and provider can decide if a clinical trial is right for the patient. There are a few ways to connect with the Clinical Trial Support Center. One, you can call the Information Resource Center at 1-800-955-4572. You can email the Clinical Trial Support Center at ctsc@bloodcancerunited.org, or you can fill out a referral form online at bloodcancerunited.org/navigation. Once a nurse navigator receives your referral, the nurse will contact you in 24 to 48 business hours to begin the initial clinical intake process. If interested in any clinical trial support, please reach out. We are here and looking forward to assisting you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beth. We would like to share a quick disclaimer. The Nutrition Education Services Center is for information purposes only. It is not intended to substitute for the advice of your healthcare team or provide medical diagnosis, treatment, or therapy. Please consult your healthcare team before making any changes to your medical plan, diet, or physical activity. Before we begin the presentation, we'd love to learn a little bit more about who is with us here today. So please fill out our poll and let us know if you are a person diagnosed with CLL, a healthcare provider, Blood Cancer United staff, or maybe you're not sure, and that's okay too. Awesome. It's so great to see you all, mostly people diagnosed with CLL, Blood Cancer United staff supporting. It is so awesome to have you all here. I will go ahead and share results. And just again, we would like to welcome you all to the program today. We are so happy to have you. Next slide. I am now pleased to introduce our first speaker, Manager of Nutrition Education, Margaret Martin. She is a licensed dietitian and nutritionist in the state of Tennessee, as well as a certified diabetes care and education specialist. Margaret has worked with Blood Cancer United Nutrition Education Services Center for over 10 years as a registered dietitian. She graduated from the University of Alabama with a Bachelor of Science in Dietetics and earned her master's degree in nutrition science from the University of Tennessee. Margaret has worked in public health hospital nutrition services, the insurance industry with WellPoint, Anthem, and Blue Cross Blue Shield. The best part of her job, she's meeting people and helping them find food choices to fit their goals. In her free time, Margaret loves to travel. She recently returned from Florida Beach and cheers for Alabama football and enjoys playing toss with her dog, Rose. Take it away, Margaret.
Thank you, Ellie, for that very nice introduction. I'm very pleased to be with you here today to share some important food and meal planning information with our patients diagnosed with CLL and their caregivers. So let's jump in. Let's look at benefits of healthy food choices for CLL. Food and nutrition play an important role in energy, strength, and side effect management. Heather Knutson in a few minutes will discuss tips to manage CLL side effects. Good nutrition choices are a key foundation to protect and rebuild your body. Some of the benefits of healthy eating patterns are maintaining a healthy weight, strength, and energy level. Now, during CLL is the time to sustain your body, not to attempt weight loss or a restrictive diet. Another benefit of good eating is replacing healthy muscle, cell, and other tissues like veins, bones, and nerve tissues that might get injured. Healthy eating can help you manage side effects and support cognitive function like decision-making, reasoning, and balance and mobility. Healthy eating can help promote quality of life and also assist your immune function to reduce the risk of infection, viruses, and foodborne illness. Next, let's explore some strategies for meal planning and food choices to achieve these benefits. Next, nutrition strategies for CLL are focused on adding back foods to your menus to support health and your resilience. Let's divide these strategies into 3 key areas: variety, function, and science. When we say variety, it refers to the diversity of foods, which helps support your health and aid in producing healthy cells and the energy cycle. Focus on eating foods from all the food groups for best nutrition. Resist the urge to eliminate food groups based on advice from friends or for social media. Next, concentrate on nutrition for the functional benefits. Select foods that can function or help manage side effects and rebuild strength. If you have other health conditions like diabetes, heart issues, or food intolerances, eat to manage those conditions as well. For example, small servings of food may help manage some digestive issues. Also, add foods to your menus that support your immune system. Include protein choices as an example at each meal and most snacks. During cancer care, your dietary requirements for protein increase, sometimes 20 to 30%. So choose protein often. Also, consider a wide variety of plants coming from different textures and colors of plants. One research study called the American Gut Project looked at people who ate 30 types of plants or more each week. Those that did had a larger digestive microbiome. The microbiome in our gut helps us support our immune system. And choose strategies that are based in science. Choose food as your source of nutrients first. We know in our American food supply what is in our foods and beverages, but we don't always know what might be in dietary supplements. Also, embrace nutrition strategies that are evidence-based. These are scientifically developed information references and recommendations. Choose those over advice from other well-meaning people, friends, and family members. Next slide. So there is a lot of information out there about nutrition and blood cancer, but do know there's not just one eating plan or diet for CLL. There are, however, several suggested eating plans that are nutritionally balanced and can be modified to help and support you. We will discuss some of these plans in a few minutes. Any eating plan that you select and agreed upon with your physician may be modified to help you also manage other health conditions like anemia, irritable bowel syndrome, and osteoporosis. Make your food choices doable and make them fit into your abilities to cook, prep food, and store it. Next slide. Eat a variety of foods during CLL, especially foods that are from plant sources. On the left side of our slide, we see the typical, we might call it a Western diet meal with very large portions of meat covering most of the plate and a very small serving of plants like that green colorful vegetable. This is a heavy meat serving plate. The right side illustrates the more recommended type of eating plan, where plants make up the majority of your plate, the centerpiece. You can have single food groups as illustrated in the blue plate with what may be chicken, rice, vegetables, and avocado. You could also have a cheese veggie pizza or a combination stew or soup is illustrated in the brown red bowl. All plant foods are healthy, but try to choose those that are just minimally or moderately processed. Next slide. Well, why are plants important? Plants contain what we call phytonutrients. Phytonutrients are biologically active components that help reduce the rapid reproduction of unhealthy cells while trying to reproduce healthy cells and help them multiply rapidly. The word phyto means plants. Chemicals are these components that help fight bad cells and reproduce healthy cells. They're different from vitamins and minerals. Mother Nature has given us at least 7 to 8 different color families, so plan to eat the rainbow of colors each week. If you'd like more information on phytonutrients, check the resources on the right-hand side of the slide. Next, as we talked about earlier, there are many different eating plans or eating patterns that you might use during CLL. Today, we're going to illustrate 4 examples that you may have heard about: the New American Plate, Mediterranean Eating, myplate.gov, and the DASH eating plan. These eating patterns are based on food groups with suggested servings listed per day or per week. We were going to dive into the New American Plate in a minute, but right now, just know that the Mediterranean way of eating has no one definition. There are over 80 cultures around the Mediterranean Sea, each with their own food traditions and meal habits. The myplate.gov is a great way to look at eating using the plate method, and it has lots of great tips also on eating on a budget and number of recommended servings of food based on your size. The DASH eating plan was developed by the National Institutes of Health originally to help Americans control their high blood pressure. DASH is an acronym for Dietary Approach to Stop Hypertension. But in recent years, it has also been shown to help reduce the risk of future cancers, just as the Mediterranean Meal Plan and the New American Plate. Next slide. So, as we said, one suggested pattern of eating is the New American Plate. It was developed by the American Institute for Cancer Research, or AICR.org. Instead of using different serving sizes from all the food groups, it simply uses a plate as a teaching tool to help you design and plan meals. If you think about your plate having 2 divisions, 2/3 of the plate is suggested to be covered with plants, and 1/3 can be covered with protein. So the 2/3 area of your plate, or this also could be a bowl, is suggested to come from vegetables, whole grains, fruits, beans and legumes, nuts and seeds, as well as seasoning with healthy oils. Make plants the place you start when you're planning your meal, your centerpiece, if we would think about that, and then add a protein that might be available. Animal-based foods can be part of your protein, 1/3 of your plate. If you choose animal protein, these can be considered things like poultry, fish, and red meat and eggs. Red meat that is lean is suggested to keep in the range of 12 to 18 ounces of cooked red meat per week. Red meat in the cancer space is defined as beef, lamb, pork, and venison. In terms of the size of servings, for an adult, a 3-ounce serving of cooked meat looks like a deck of playing cards or a small lady's hand, if you're not familiar with the ounces or serving sizes of meats. It's also recommended to have fatty fish at least twice a week. This is a main component for heart health, diabetes, as well as cancer care. Fatty fish provide omega-3 fatty acids. A few examples might be salmon, tuna, cod, tilapia, and halibut. Next slide. Another component of healthy eating is supporting your immune system. Your immune system is a complex collection of organs, blood cells, chemicals, and proteins that help protect your body from diseases, infections, and harmful components. When you protect your immune system, you decrease your risk for malnutrition. Malnutrition can occur with rapid weight loss during cancer, complications from cancer, complications from other health conditions, and undereating. So maintain a healthy body weight. Choose foods often with protein, as we discussed earlier, omega-3 fatty acids. Choose foods that what we call are nutrient dense. They're rich in vitamins and minerals. And always try to strive each week for a variety of phytochemicals. Next slide. Rely on food first as your source for nutrients. For thousands of years, the human body has effectively and efficiently digested and absorbed nutrients from food sources and beverages. Food has a balance of nutrients in appropriate amounts for most people. Yet, some people think that everyone should take a dietary supplement. The misconception is also that dietary supplements are safe because many people consider them as natural, organic, plant-based, or sourced from whole foods. This is not always the case, however. Some dietary supplements have unsafe volume of nutrients and other ingredients that may interfere with your treatment plan or CLL. So always discuss your nutrition and health needs with your medical team. Ask if a dietary supplement has a role in your healthcare plan. If so, your doctor can safely prescribe a dietary supplement if needed in the right amount and dose frequency. Next slide. Well, let's talk a little bit about evidence-based nutrition information. An estimated 70% of Americans search the internet for health information. Patients and caregivers, we realize, are eager to learn what to embrace, what to add more of, say in your diet, and what to avoid when it comes to cancer. But did you know that some studies indicate that cancer nutrition misinformation is the most common cancer misinformation found online? It's very abundant. This misinformation can lead to harmful dietary changes that may decrease the body's response to treatment. So, reader, beware. Beware of the sources where you receive your nutrition cancer information. To do that, we've developed 4 tools to help you find reliable information online. First of all, use trusted websites. These websites you can use to find evidence-based nutrition information. Evidence-based nutrition refers to the practice of using the best scientific evidence to inform dietary decisions and recommendations. It involves critically evaluating the research studies and using their findings to guide patients and communities toward healthier eating habits. The first step in finding reliable information is to look to the domain of the nutrition information. Domain is usually dot and then 3 letters. .edu is an educational institution, some of which may also be a cancer research center of excellence. .gov reflects government agencies like the National Cancer Institute, or NCI.gov. .orgs are nonprofit organizations like Blood Cancer United. .org domains have no bias from conflicts of interest and are free from any marketing or sales pitches. Products for sale often may be found on domains that end in .com, .com. Next, look for studies with large number of human subjects, which can be replicated by other research centers. Yes, we know research starts with small studies with modest amounts of adults as subjects for short periods of time, but do focus on the more current, larger studies that have definite conclusions that apply to your specific diagnosis and/or treatment. Also, you can look to accredited cancer center websites for educational resources. These accredited cancer centers follow rigorous guidelines for posting information. A few examples might be Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center, Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, and Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. And finally, seek professional scientific websites whose authors are often nutrition experts in the cancer field, like registered dietitians. A few examples might be mdanderson.org, stanfordhealthcare.org, Mayo Clinic, and Vanderbilt University Medical Center. And there are more websites from institutions in your specific geographic area. Next slide. In addition to Blood Cancer United Nutrition.org, look to these other reliable sources of information. And last slide. Of course, we know you don't eat nutrients, but you eat food and drink to nourish your body. So look to these websites for more plant-based recipes. They revolve around foods from all food groups as well as plant-based recipes. Now I'll turn the program back to Ellie to introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, Margaret, for the information. At this time, I would like to introduce our registered dietitian, Heather Knutson, a Minnesota native. She is board certified in oncology nutrition and has enjoyed working in oncology for over a decade. Heather earned her Bachelor of Science degree in dietetics from the University of North Dakota and her master's degree from Rosalind Franklin University in Chicago. She is an advocate for personalized care and feels honored to be invited into the lives of her clients during their personal journey with cancer. In her free time, Heather enjoys spending time with her husband, two sons, her cat Kevin, and her dog Russell. She is passionate about triathlons and vegan culinary delights and is always open to new adventures. Thanks, Heather.
Thank you, Ellie. And we will start with another poll question. Which food or diet or foods helps improve blood cell counts? A, grape nut cereal, B, keto diet, C, paleo diet, D, leafy green vegetables, E, none of the above, and F, all of the above. And G, I'm hoping I will learn the answer. Looks like there are quite a few for green leafy vegetables, some for all of the above, and several are looking to or hoping that you will learn the answer. And we will address this question or the answer to this question in just a little bit here. Thank you. I am going to talk about navigating common side effects with nutrition for those living with CLL. When you are living with cancer and possibly receiving cancer treatment, side effects and other challenges can arise, as I'm sure many of you can attest. When this occurs, it often becomes important to tweak your nutrition plan to best support your body and feel the best that you are able. So today we will discuss fatigue, feeling full quickly, unintended weight loss, digestive challenges such as nausea, bowel changes, which can certainly decrease discomfort or decrease your desire to eat, low blood cell counts, specifically including anemia and neutropenia. I'll talk briefly about nutrition interactions with medications for CLL and vitamin D. Please keep in mind that nutrition strategies, for side effect management are often used along with medical management. Please discuss all side effects that you experience with your doctor. back one side. Perfect. Thank you. So starting with fatigue. Fatigue can be caused by CLL as well as medications that are prescribed for CLL. Be as active as you are able and cleared to participate in activity by your doctor. It can be really hard to get moving or to get out the door, but it is beneficial in managing fatigue. It's important to listen to your body and do rest as you need. Exercises like walking, yoga, chair yoga, and housework can all be great options. Provide your body with fuel throughout the day by eating often or about every 2 to 4 hours. This could look like 3 smaller meals and 2 to 3 snacks in between meals. Include a protein source with meals and as well as snacks as you are able. This can help to sustain energy. Stay well hydrated, sip fluids throughout the day. Many people require a minimum of 64 to 80 ounces of fluid daily. Ask your doctor or dietitian what an appropriate fluid goal for you might be. Even a little bit of dehydration may result in experiencing more fatigue. Using easy-to-prepare foods may ease the burden of making meals and can help conserve energy. This may include options such as food or meal delivery, simple meals, and convenience products such as frozen vegetables or canned beans. Filling up quickly after eating smaller amounts of food is reported commonly by those who are living with CLL. You may also hear this referred to as early satiety. Again, it can be caused by medications for CLL, stress, or enlargement of the spleen, liver, or lymph nodes. And here are some strategies to manage early satiety. Eating frequently throughout the day, or about 5 to 6 or more times a day. Aim to not overfill your stomach, but also not allow it to be completely empty. So maintaining just a small amount of food in your gut regularly throughout the day. Eat on a schedule, not based on your hunger signals. For many people, it can be helpful to set an alarm as a reminder to eat. And take advantage of the time of day that your appetite is best by having your largest meal at that time. For many people, this may be breakfast. Plan to sip fluids between meals to prevent filling up on fluids at mealtime. If eating feels unappealing to you, try consuming a beverage with nutrition, such as a shake, smoothie, or soup. Add calories and protein to foods to make each bite more nutritionally dense. Try adding ingredients such as avocado, peanut butter, dried fruit, olive oil, full-fat dairy products, or extra protein, including beans, nuts, and eggs. Add liberal amounts of condiments such as cheese, sour cream, hummus, or guacamole. Keep snacks or easily prepared foods on hand, such as whole fruit, fruit cups, cheese sticks, yogurt, nuts, or peanut butter. And take snacks along when you are away from home for longer periods of time or for appointments. And have a plan for days when you are feeling too tired to cook or too busy to stop and eat. Many side effects, such as both fatigue and early satiety, as well as some CLL treatments, may result in unintended weight loss. Nutrition strategies for weight loss include those we discussed on the previous slide for early satiety. Unintended weight loss is important to address, especially when it occurs rapidly or is a continued weight loss, despite what your starting weight may be. Unintended weight loss can result in malnutrition, as well as other unplanned outcomes that are listed here, such as contributing to the inflammatory process, breaking down muscle mass to use as energy, reduced strength, which may impact mobility and independence, dysregulated hunger hormones, such as not feeling hungry when you really do need to eat. Unintended weight loss may contribute to a compromised immune system, and it can negatively affect your quality of life in a variety of ways, including increasing your risk for dehydration, hospitalization, infections, and it may also impact your body's response to treatment. Digestive issues can sometimes be some of the most challenging side effects to manage, as they can affect so many things such as your appetite, your food intake, nutrient absorption, and certainly quality of life. And so we'll talk through a few nutrition strategies to help manage these digestive strategies, including nausea, vomiting, constipation, diarrhea, gas, and bloating. Try eating smaller, more frequent meals and snacks. Try consuming 2 to 3 different foods every 2 to 4 hours instead of eating 2 to 3 larger meals throughout the day. Chew your food well. And this can be a really hard and challenging habit to adopt. It oftentimes requires practicing this and a lot of patience. When you're used to eating a certain way your whole life, it is hard to eat food a different way. Digestion begins in your mouth. So when you chew foods longer, you excrete more enzymes in both your mouth and your stomach to help support digestion. Also, when you chew well, food is broken down further, reducing the work that your stomach and intestines have to do. Include the type of fiber to best manage your side effects. If you are experiencing diarrhea, it is helpful to select foods that contain more soluble fibers. This is the type of fiber that acts almost like a little sponge and can slow down the intestinal transit time. Examples of foods higher in soluble fiber include oatmeal, barley, carrots, green beans, peeled potatoes, bananas, and applesauce. If you are experiencing constipation, it is helpful to select foods that have more insoluble fibers. This type of fiber can help speed up intestinal transit time. Examples include whole wheat products, legumes, nuts, broccoli, cauliflower, leafy greens, and berries. Additionally, limit any food or beverages that may cause gas or stomach discomfort, such as spicy, fried, and greasy foods, or any other foods that you do not tolerate. So coming back to that poll question, low blood cell counts, which you may hear referred to as myelosuppression, can be caused by CLL itself or from treatments for CLL. So the big question that we are often asked quite a bit is there a diet or food to increase blood cell counts? And when we say blood cell counts, that really includes red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets. And certainly there is a lot of highly varied information on the internet about this. The answer is no. There is no special diet or food to increase blood cell counts. Adequate nutrition is really the goal for blood cell production. So all of the eating patterns in food listed on the poll question earlier certainly may assist in blood cell production, especially when they are part of a balanced and varied diet. And so here's a very simplified example. Imagine that you are baking chocolate chip cookies and you're prepared, you have the oven preheated, you have the right measuring cups and all the other tools that you need. You gather the ingredients in the recipe and realize that you're missing the chocolate chips, which to me is a really critical ingredient. Now, you must either wait until you have the time to run to the store to buy chocolate chips, or wait until maybe a friend can come over and pick them up along the way. When your body is making blood cells, it's really like this chocolate chip cookie example. If you aren't consuming a varied diet and enough of the nutrients that you need to make blood cells, you might not be able to make blood cells efficiently. You might have to wait until the right nutrients are available. And so, how do you do this? How do you make sure that you have the right ingredients or nutrients to make all the types of blood cells that you need? So, you can consume enough calories, aiming to prevent weight loss. You can consume enough protein with each meal and most snacks. You can choose healthier fats like olive oil and omega-3 fatty acids. And following a eating pattern, as Margaret outlined earlier, helps to provide many of the different vitamins and minerals that are needed, many of which are listed on this slide. When you are living with CLL or receiving treatment for CLL, and some of the white blood cells just aren't working normally, you just may not be able to produce blood cells as fast as you need. Adequate nutrition is important still to help your body produce blood cells as efficiently as your body is able. However, providing extra nutrition is not helpful, as you can't speed up the process of blood cell production. It can only work so fast. And it's also important to note supplements are not the same as eating food. There are times your doctor may prescribe a supplement for you to treat low blood cell counts. You may require larger quantities of certain nutrients than food can provide. These are important for you to make to best meet your needs for your situation. Think of supplements as a medication for treating low blood cell counts. There are a couple specific instances of blood cell counts we'll address today, starting with anemia. As you probably know, CLL, as well as treatment for CLL, can cause anemia. It is important to recognize that there's several types of anemia, all with different treatments. Talk to your doctor before making any changes to your diet to make sure the changes you are making are warranted and support your treatment plan. But here are some basic tips to help with anemia when you are living with CLL. First, maintain adequate nutrition overall. You need many nutrients that are the building blocks or ingredients in red blood cell production. Include protein at each meal and most snacks. Protein plays an important role in making red blood cells. Enough protein is important. Extra protein is not necessarily better. Incorporate high iron foods in your diet, such as meat, poultry, some seafoods, legumes, dried fruits, and peanut butter. Iron fortified breakfast cereals, like the grape nuts mentioned in the poll question earlier, can be an easy option when you are feeling fatigued or you don't feel like consuming a full meal. Fortified breakfast cereal is often easier to digest and may contain 20 to 100% of the recommended daily intake of iron. Only take supplements, iron supplements that is, if your doctor directs you to. Iron supplements can cause adverse side effects if taken improperly. Take prescribed iron supplements on an empty stomach or before bed if they upset your stomach. Strategies to increase iron absorption include eating foods that are high in vitamin C with high iron foods, such as citrus, melons, berries, kiwi, peppers, broccoli, tomatoes, orange juice, or tomato juice. And use a cast iron pan to cook if you have one, especially for foods that are moist and acidic. Think foods like spaghetti sauce. Actions you can take to prevent reduced iron absorption include consuming coffee and tea separate from high iron foods, as they can inhibit iron absorption. And if you are prescribed calcium supplements, take them separate from high iron foods, as calcium supplements can also inhibit iron absorption. The other type of low blood cell count we'll discuss today is neutropenia. Neutropenia is when neutrophils, which are a type of white blood cell, are low. If you are neutropenic or are at risk of becoming neutropenic, diligent food safety becomes important to prevent contracting a foodborne illness when your body may not have a strong enough immune system to be able to fight it off. One of the most important recommendations is washing your hands before preparing foods or consuming foods and keeping countertops and eating surfaces clean. Use separate cutting boards, dishes, and utensils for raw meat, fish, and poultry, keeping them separate from cooked or other ready-to-eat foods. Avoid food choices that are high risk, such as raw bean or alfalfa sprouts, sushi, unpasteurized dairy foods, and moldy cheeses such as blue cheese. Cook meat, fish, and poultry all the way through to the proper internal temperature. It can be helpful to use a food thermometer. Eggs should be cooked hard with no runny yolks. Wash produce well with running water, manually scrubbing with clean hands or a clean cloth. Look for and follow expiration dates on products. Use leftover cooked meat or poultry for sandwiches instead of deli meat. Deli meats may be contaminated with bacteria such as Listeria. If you would like to enjoy deli meats, they should be cooked until they are steaming hot or at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit before consuming them. Keep hot food hot and cold foods cold. Put away refrigerated or frozen groceries within 2 hours of purchasing, and store foods promptly after serving. Date your leftovers and use within 4 days. Refer to the links provided on this slide for further details on food safety recommendations. It is helpful to discuss food safety with anyone who may be assisting you with your food shopping or preparation. There are several medications that are prescribed more commonly for CLL that can interact with certain citrus fruits. We often hear about avoiding grapefruit with certain medications, but there are several other citrus fruits that are important to avoid along with grapefruit, including starfruit, Seville oranges, which are often used in orange marmalade, pomelos, and tangelos. All of these citrus fruits should be avoided if you are taking a medication that is on this list. Always consult your treatment team about medication instructions. Vitamin D and its possible relationship with CLL is a hot topic and an ongoing area of research. Some preliminary studies suggest that for blood cancers in general, vitamin D deficiencies are associated with poorer prognosis, higher rates of relapse, significantly longer hospital stays, and decreased rates of remission. Preliminary CLL-specific studies have observed lower vitamin D levels at the time of diagnosis may be associated with shorter time to first treatment and overall survival. Studies looking back in time have observed that those who were taking a vitamin D supplement of varied doses experienced a longer treatment-free survival. We do not know how many of these folks did or did not have a low vitamin D level prior to taking vitamin D supplements. In CLL patients who were less than 65 years old, taking vitamin D supplements was associated with a longer time to first treatment. Should everyone diagnosed with CLL take a vitamin D supplement? The answer is no. Controlled trials are still needed to validate results from the studies. And there may be questions that we still don't have the answer to, such as whether taking vitamin D supplements may impact the prognosis for CLL. The take-home message is, talk to your doctor to decide if you should have your vitamin D level checked to determine if taking a vitamin D supplement may be beneficial to you. And I will turn it back to you, Ellie.
Thank you so much, Heather. That will conclude our presentation, and we will transition into the Q&A portion. We'll address the questions submitted during the registration as well as some of those submitted in the Q&A box today. Margaret and Heather, if you both can come back on camera and off mute, we will get started with the first question. This one says, I keep hearing protein, protein, but I have high cholesterol, LDL, and it is hard for me to get lots of protein that doesn't impact my LDL numbers. How do I do better?
Great question. We do hear often about so much about the importance of protein. And there are many people who do not consume enough protein, but it is also important to know how much protein you need, as extra is not necessarily better. So ask your doctor or dietitian kind of how much protein do you need in your diet. It is helpful to consume less animal-based fat. So choosing lean meats, low fat or fat-free dairy products, limiting egg intake to a few times a week, and choosing fat sources such as avocado, olive oil, or other plant-based oils, not for fat in your diet. It's also helpful to consume more foods like whole grains, nuts, seeds, lentils, fruits, and vegetables that may actively help to lower your LDL numbers. So all protein sources do not contain cholesterol, thinking cholesterol comes primarily from those animal-based foods, which is why limiting high-fat animal-based foods may be helpful.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next question is it wise to start a weight loss program now? I'm overweight, I'm under tall, have a sugar addiction, and I have just gotten back into being physically active after many decades as a chair jockey at work. I am not in treatment for CLL yet. I know dropping weight will allow me to feel better.
Well, I'm glad to take that question, Ellie. In general, weight loss rapidly is not recommended. It can lead to increased risk for malnutrition. We know, however, as adults, we're often focused on weight management. So I suggest to people that eating a wide variety of foods can be the focus of your meal plan. If you have a small weight loss, 1 or 2 pounds a month, let your doctor know it's because you're eating differently. But in general, it's a great conversation to have with your treatment physician.
Absolutely. I'm going to jump to this next one. How do I eat healthy if I'm too tired to cook?
Great question. Um, so if you are too tired to cook, sometimes using ready to eat or foods that you don't have to prepare a lot can be very helpful. That might be things like fresh fruit or vegetables, or consuming canned fruits and vegetables, or using steaming frozen vegetables. It could be things like eating yogurt, cheese, toast, sandwiches, or easy to prepare recipes that maybe only take 2 to 3 ingredients. It might be helpful to prepare larger quantities of a recipe. I think soup is a good example, and freeze them in individual portions. And I think that things like frozen foods, as long as you are not too sensitive to sodium and choosing lower sodium options, can be a really good fit in this situation. As sometimes, I've heard people describe like even opening a yogurt container is very fatiguing for them. And so eating foods with the least amount of work possible can be very helpful.
Good. Awesome. Thank you. And then this might be our last one, depending on timing. I have heard about superfoods such as kale and pomegranate. How important is it to include superfoods in my diet?
Well, Heather and I get this question every week about superfoods. We don't like to label foods as superfoods. There's no really one definition, and it kind of indicates that some foods might be more healing or more nutritious times 10 than other foods. So kale, pomegranate, blueberries, I've heard lots of foods labeled as superfoods on social media. They're great to use within your menus, but I would not exclude other foods just to have what is called superfoods. All foods can fit into your menus for meals and snacks. So try not to label foods as super or dirty or unhealthy. It's all about moderation and balancing out your menus over the week.
Thank you. Yeah, very important point to make. Well, thank you both for taking the time to answer a few questions and for a wonderful program. We're going to wrap up the Q&A now and close out with just a few final thoughts. We'll go to the next slide. The Nutrition Education Services Center, a program of Blood Cancer United, is a free nationwide resource dedicated to supporting cancer patients and caregivers with nutrition education. Our services are designed to help individuals navigate the complexities of nutrition during and after cancer treatment, managing side effects, and promote long-term health and survivorship. I encourage you to visit our website, that's bloodcancerunitednutrition.org, for a comprehensive look at all that we have to offer. You'll find a wealth of information, including articles, videos, and guides on topics like nutrition by diagnosis, food safety, and caregiver support. You can also schedule a free nutrition consultation directly through the website. So if you still have questions that were not answered during the Q&A or might be a little bit more specific to your medical history and diagnosis, you can schedule a free one-on-one nutrition consultation over the phone with either Margaret or Heather. You can schedule online on our website provided below or by calling us at 877-467-1936. In addition, Blood Cancer United offers free booklets, fact sheets, and one-pagers. Our most popular from NESC being the Nutrition Handbook. You can download them or request free copies by mail through our website bloodcancerunited.org/booklets. And it doesn't just stop there. Here's a closer look at all of the support and education services Blood Cancer United offers. Take a moment to explore the resources available to you, ranging from online chats, educational videos, podcasts, financial resources, booklets, and more. Visit bloodcancerunited.org/patient support to learn about all of these offerings in detail. Blood cancer information specialists are U.S.-based, highly trained and licensed oncology social workers and nurses who are ready to help you or your loved one navigate a blood cancer diagnosis and connect you to financial and social support information. You can find their contact information on the screen, and again, the slides will be available to you after today's program. You can also download the Blood Cancer United Health Manager app to track your meals, symptoms, medications, and even questions for your doctors. These resources are designed to make daily life a little easier and help you feel more confident in managing your health. Thank you so much for joining us today for Unite to Nourish, learning about CLL nutrition. We hope that you found this program helpful and that you will leave with new information and resources to support you on your journey. Your feedback is very important to us. A short survey will be included in the follow-up email and now in the chat. You can also scan the QR code on the screen. Please take a few minutes to share your thoughts so we can continue improving and offering programs that matter to you. On behalf of Blood Cancer United and the Nutrition Education Services Center, thank you again for spending your time with us today. We wish you all the best and on your path to health and wellness.